Tell you I'm better. Let me show you how to play this god, because there is no way you want to pick up an eggshell into that team comp.
And we also see a Lancelot locked in. Interestingly enough, Narwhal, we have not seen any prioritization to Amma, Hades, like none of these, what I would describe as like your premier solo lane gods. And we said it's a lot more of a pocket comfy pick style coming out from this priest team as a whole. What do you think Lancelot provides to what we assume is going to be a solo lane?
Well, since this is going to be a tank Lancelot, there's not going to be much that can stop him or break that shield. Thoth has no stun, Robin no stun, Oleron not a single stun. Odin, if hovered, and locked in, does have a stun. However, I don't think that he's going to be able to lock down into Lancelot enough for his team to be able to burn him before he gets back on that horse.
But outside of the Lance, currently not the easiest time getting out of cages is this priest squad. Really, only the Charybdis is able to sink under them, but the rest of them gonna probably have to think about getting a Phantom Shell or
Well, he's
just
going to jump out of it.
yeah, three, three of the five are trapped in. Overall, which draft are you kind of preferring going into this game?
I like the backline from the chefs better than I like on the priest. However, the rest of the draft, the Hebo is going to make up for anything the Ixchel can't do. The Charybdis is, while an inferior ADC in my opinion to Ola Run, never going to get caught in that Ola ult. Has plenty of safety measures just in case they do get dove. And that Athena has that looming presence of that 2v1 in the back of your mind. Always makes a fair fight unfair off cooldown. And Lancelot can't be stopped. Like, Odin maybe can do it. However, it's going to take him to specifically be looking at a diver instead of looking at the backline, which might allow them to free cast.
Now, me personally, I love the draft out of the chef, right? I think it's an annoying draft to work around, right? Now, my biggest concern is, are they going to be able to execute this draft? We saw last game, Gaio had a really good performance on this Oleron. I'm not really worried about him getting aggressive. It's more so I'm worried about uh, like players like A1, players like Thick, uh, really holding their own coming into this mid game because last game we saw them kind of blend into the background a bit too much, kind of not really putting up a whole lot, kind of being there, like they kind of phoned it in at work type kind of deal. So I think if they're able to kind of have a louder presence in this game, I think the chef's draft could take this game. I think that their fight is really annoying. However, from what we just saw, my confidence isn't quite the highest, and I think I'm gonna agree with you and go with the priest for this game.
It's going to be an Albert clinic.
An Auburn clinic. Yeah. Okay. How, from your perspective, how easy does Hobblebs dive this backline of the chefs?
Oleron can't 1v1 the Hebo. He ults. Hebo just counter ults, does like a million damage to him. He get either Oleron Aegis's, he still gets blown up after. Thoth, while he does have the range advantage, that's why they created Blink. He decides to dash away, he will just ults to him, dies instantly. Robin can't really do the same to the priest backline. Neither can the Odin. So you always have the looming threat of getting one tapped by Hebo. Meanwhile, you have plenty of time to react to the Robin and Odin dive.
Yeah. I imagine from this dive that they'll be looking a lot more at this E-Shell, Anthony on this E-Shell, because, well, we just saw last game that this E-Shell can be very easily abused, and I imagine one Swift Cage into a Mystic Rush, and that's all she would write for Anthony on this E-Shell. I imagine Uchi's going to have a pretty safe time in this game, shouldn't be finding himself in too many precarious situations with both Whirlpool form and the I don't remember what it's called. I think it's a button. It's
It
Curvasol.
really is a button. You're right.
It is a button of all time. Don't remember the name right now.
Uchi's being safe on the
The Maw
safe
Hungers.
winter.
I'm gonna say. As we do go into this game, you may be noticing, oh,
Okay.
but Charlie, but Narwhal.
Time dilation.
It's in this game.
Time dilation.
So apparently this game wasn't fully spectated, as we see a beacon fight just at the end of breaking out, and
You got reverse corner
Poor,
assaulted.
poor Among Us is getting a little bit
Got his head's
a little
caved
bit
in by
tossed
that
a bit
Robin.
as Kuzenbo seemed to have a explosive start to this game, 5-1, and 1 reads the slash line as we see this mid 3v3 and just and specifically Uchi seemed to have a bit of a rough time to this early game as the chefs pulled this Gold Fury. Now this is where we get to rapid fire off questions. Builds, do you see anything to obtuse so far?
I don't see anything that hurts my eyes as of right now. I'm wondering. Huh? Actually, yeah, everything looks pretty standard. Nothing to question here. If I'm being honest.
Nothing really gawk at. The only
Nothing
thing that
really
really
poking out.
Only thing that really stands out to me is this Lancelot building a Rune Forge item was recently buffed. Usually we've been seeing Rune Forge in that first slot, so very interesting to see how this build curve feels with him going at second. But yeah, we also see a drumstick out of Odin, an item I
Maybe
have not seen
that's
God in quite a
Aubrignot
little bit.
completing his what do you call that? His bow already. That is
His
interesting.
bow, he's
Not
currently
stacked
not.
devs. Wow.
Yeah, we're seeing I think the main thing that we probably saw is a bit of a lackluster early game out from the Priest, not really able to find that consistent start that they were able to last game. But you know who is still fairly consistent is Anthony on the side of this
Anthony is him. He
Priest.
has a 2-level lead on this Thoth, just like last game.
2-level
And
lead,
he's
dies
died double
already
the
died
amount of
twice.
times.
Pretty sure he's died. Pretty sure he died twice last. We're at the same amount of deaths as we see. Kuzenbo is getting rather aggressive. Mr. Rush used to get himself out, and Auberg and Jaeger on the chase. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fight, Odin ult used to save his Thoth, and Gaio picks up
Uchi
another
and
solo kill
solo.
onto Uchi, and Jaeger is still looking for Kuzenbo. Auberg finally catches up. Knockup is good, and this Robin is so low. Water hands are just good enough to pick up the kill, as we see Priest, maybe if they've gone a bit too deep. Auberg is at 1 HP mid-god, picks up the kill on this Kefri, gets the first kill of the game. As we saw Jaeger attempting to pick up the stuff, but Jaeger is going around, looking to see if he can find anything onto the rest of this Chef's team, as A1 is looking to get aggressive. Gaio is officially here in this fight. Jaeger is forced to back out, and whole lot of bodies, but not a whole lot of resulting kills after the junglers go down for each squad.
A lot of action, but not a lot going on, and mostly just chase into the punish combo, and then they chase, but they don't really get much out of it. Maybe a pyro for their. Wait, they stole the pyromancer, or they got the pyromancer? Oh, good for them. Even after losing a team fight.
The chefs managed to secure their own pyromancer, not stolen away from them. They secure their own. Kefri picks up the bomb with that one, able to solidify their lead, currently a 4K lead in the favor of the chefs. And the tower, with the credit going to Anthony, picks up Bidgod, and Kuzenbo yanks poor Uchi once again as Auberg completely obliterates Thick with the help of his team in mid. Overall, 2 people on the chefs go down in exchange for Uchi and left.
Everyone's been there 3 into the Hebo ult. There's not much counterplay. You know it's gonna happen, but you always dread it.
You always do, and it seems as if beads were expended from Thick during that, so either beads a little bit too late or was shown to give up his beads, and Kuzenbo is looking for Anthony. Anthony Aegis pops, but Kuzenbo holding onto a couple buttons, but not good enough to create some space, kind of left in this little
Beautiful
limbo
Olo Ronaldo to cut him
Gaio
off.
cuts off that exact path beautifully. Kuzenbo picks up his kill as Auberg is still poking out in this Habwa. And if we look at the damage charts, this Habwa is doing quite a bit now. Uchi finally having stacked devs, as our beautiful production man points out now. Start to see a lot more damage coming online for this Priest squad. Is there any team that you're favoring right now going into this later stages of the mid game?
You know, the priests have more kills, but I do like that those chefs are getting their little picks here and there, making sure to get something.
So just as beautiful as production is, it's also terrible, because currently Chefs are going to be on your Chaos side, and Priests are going to be your Order side. As we see a little bit of a kerfuffle over here on this beacon. Jaeger ults in on this Lancelot. Huge knockup to respawn out of this Habwa, but Jaeger is getting looked at. Currently, Anthony is doing his best to keep Jaeger alive. Currently, he still does, as we see Odin jump in, but not enough damage after all the healing. Uchi caught in the wrong neighborhood, forced to use Whirlpool form, but currently I don't think the chase is going to end right there. A1 is still zoning out the rest of this Priest team, but Uchi is at 1 HP, a huge ultimate, and Auberg just absolutely deletes him on the other side. Auberg gets his 2, and Khepri ult is already expended. Scare's Blessing is already off the table for this fight, as we see a 2-for-0 in favor of Priest. And if I'm mid, and if I'm Among Us, I want more. Mid, super low now. We're seeing just a little bit more damage. Defender Olympus is forced out, but this Khepri is still alive. We see a dash hawk, just a little bit more damage, and Water Hands is good enough to cure that Gaio just off the mark with that Sanctified Fields, as Jaeger is looking for him. Poor Gaio is out of mana and not able to really push into that jungle, as the Priest pick up, or were about to pick up a Gold Fury before A1 came into the neighborhood, just being a bit annoying, but he may have to pay for the life for it. Cage used to keep himself safe, but Uchi is on the chase. Uchi is looking for more. Beautiful spear comes out to save A1's life as the Priest pick up the Gold Fury, but Thick is in range. Thick is looking really early. Thothol already gets thrown out. Just a bit of damage onto Uchi along with Kuzumbo in return, but Priest forced off the Gold Fury for now.
Looks like the chefs got a little ambitious after they got that beacon. Should have probably backed off after their little win. They're still up a little bit. There's no need to go for unnecessary kills that aren't going to net them much. Probably set up for a better fight. However, we see Auberg able to turn the tides after something goes wrong. Hit a beautiful ult.
I get it. Turn the tides. Like water.
Yeah.
Like water. I get it. I'm smart. I get it.
Yeah. Big brain, Charlie.
Big brain. But yeah, just a beautiful bait by Uchi, leading into an absolutely humongous ult from Auberg, able to hit 3 people with a crushing wave, and just, as you said, turn the tide for that fight. What was a losing fight just became an absolutely just monumental win for the Priest, as they have closed this gold lead quite a bit. We're only sitting around the 2 maybe soft 3K mark right now, but Chefs
looking
just going after this Pyromancer, and Chefs secure their objective. 2 bombs sitting in the pockets of the Chefs right now. Do not let that screen lie to you. That was a Chef's Pyromancer. As we start to see a little bit of a grouping towards Gold Creek, Kuzumbo not picked, but taking a lot of damage off. Crushing Wave just on the mark, but the taunt is good enough to keep him locked in there. Auberg is also locked into this Odinal as he falls down, but the cavalry is here. A Jaeger is currently here. A huge taunt from Among Us, and this is just a chaotic fight breaking out. Gaio is stuck between a rock and a hard place, dancing around his ult. He's doing some kind of the tango. There we go. As Among Us dashes in once again, and this front line is just so separated from the back line. Gaio just doesn't have, there's not enough damage onto him yet. As we see, A1 is just stalling so much in this backline. Uchi so low on this Charybdis. Whirlpool Foot is good enough. Thick is better on this Thothol, as we see a Jeff's team pushing up, getting their advantage in. And that is a huge bird bomb on it. Uchi forced to Aegis. Just a little bit more damage. The Maw Hungers forced out to get himself out of safety, as we start to see the Chefs now go for their own Gold Fury attempt.
We see Chaos Kuzumbo be out of position, trying to poke out Auberg for seemingly no reason, gets punished for it, but this Odin has a beautiful ult in response.
Speaking of beautiful ults, we see another one walking in Jaeger, and Chefs secure their Gold Fury, pick up Jaeger in response, and Auberg, he is deep in there, ult already expended, beautiful knockup to keep himself safe, and not enough chase onto him specifically, but A1 was looking for Uchi, but thinking better of it now that the Priests are starting to get their numbers solidified. And you were saying how you wanted to see a lot more dual lane focus here, and I think looking at slash lines, do you think that the chefs accomplished their goal of focusing out this duo side a lot more?
If their game plan was to play through duo, I'd be surprised if that's not what they did because Uchi being down 0-5 to Gyu's 4-0 is just criminal to see your ADC down that bad. And it shows in the team fights because he's able to survive for so long. It's not just like the ult, like running around. His stats are just higher than Uchi's. He's able to put out more damage. He has an entire item up ahead of him, and he's just hitting harder, which is something that you always want to see your ADC doing.
A1 getting a little aggressive there, but not a whole lot of damage to be confirmed. We see a whole lot of movement expended, but just kind of as a zoning tool for the chefs to keep them off, keep the priests off the beacon, as Uchi picks up a tier 1 tower over in that duo side for himself, trying to cut this level lead down a little bit, seeing as Gaio can't possibly gain more levels at the moment, has already hit that level 20 mark. And we start to see a little bit of grouping on this right side of the map, with Fire Giant being the only objective that's currently up, and we're starting to get to that point where Fire Giant is kind of in the question now. Which team do you currently favor standing around a Fire Giant?
As of now, even with the level lead they have, I think it's a 50-50 because if Thoth can't free cast his ult, that Hebo is always going to steal it 100% of the time, or they're going to die trying to secure it because that Hebo ult, like I mentioned, is just going to hit 3 people and then that's just a team fight gone down the drain.
I absolutely agree. Both big artillery mage, as you said, on the desk, gonna be something where you have to kind of stand in one place in order to get a lot of your full value. As we see a beautiful Odin ult catch Jaeger still in the cage. Defender of Olympus also used out there. As we see Mystic Rush forced onto Midgod. As we see a beautiful knockup onto the chef's team. And a crushing wave deals so much damage to Midgod. Midgod forced to go down, and we see a chef's team being picked apart, just absolutely torn to shreds as Aubrey gets his kill for the fight. And this priest team is not done yet, as we see Aubrey blink forward, just a little bit more damage onto Thick on this Thoth, but not quite enough to get it. They back off, choose to secure their, not secure, but kill the enemy team site and maybe look for a Fire Giant play instead.
That's just something that feels really bad every single time. Maybe it was a lack of coordination, but that Odin ult did catch someone, but it wasn't really effective. You see Gayu dying without using his ult. It's them like not playing the comp that they drafted in that exact moment.
Speaking of not playing, that's exactly what A1 is not doing at the moment, as he gets absolutely shredded after going for an aggressive bird bomb, trying to take them off the Fire Giant, and really it does nothing but solidify their fire call even more. They got forced to dash out, otherwise his life be claimed by the Fire Giant, as we see the priests cure their Fire Giant for this game. 25 minutes in, and currently very, very even game state after that fight. Currently only 1k separating them, about to be cut down even more with this Pyromancer being picked up.
It's not over for the chefs, as they have a very strong siege defense that, although Arnold instantly kills any hopes of like going deep, and Thoth is always able to cast from the back of his Phoenix from like 3 miles away. Meanwhile, on the side of the priests, their siege isn't the strongest. You have an ADC that can hit towers as usual, but Eggshell can only provide peel for the carry during that situation, can't really damage the backline.
Yeah, just a very, very safe Phoenix defense from this backline, and this Odin also provides so much space control, funneling them into certain spots, or just making it the Phoenix just not hittable at all. Uchi gonna not gonna have the hardest time shredding through this cage, but still, an ADC having to stand still to break down a few Odin walls will surely leave them defenseless to a Mystic Rush or further follow-up from A1. So their Phoenix defense, as you said, very, very reliable. Not going to be something that is easily scoffed at. You start to see builds kind of get finished out. Everyone's starter item is upgraded besides from the backline of the Priest, actually. Even after that Fire Giant, only now Anthony gets his, trying to remember the item game, mid lane starter item, stands of time upgrade, Pendulum of Ages. Yeah. I thought of that all by myself. I didn't want to scroll over it. But Pendulum picked up for Anthony now. The only person missing stardom this entire game is going to be Uchi on this Charybdis. Just sitting on a base death toll, but most likely isn't missing out on the most impactful starter in the world. As we see, speaking of Uchi, absolutely shredded. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does need the lifesteal from that to top him all the way back up, but currently very poked out ADC as we start to see a little bit of a superior chef right now, grouped up as 5, making sure that they were there ready to respond to any defense that or any siege that the priest would throw out there. What is the priest way to get into this tower here?
I think it's more of a war of attrition. You just have to hope that the Thoth expends his utility, his burst, right before they can enter any objective. And once this is down, it's the tank's job to just step in while the backline just hits the towers.
Something interesting there was Anthony choosing to break off from them. It's a little bit of poke from Chaos, but Chaos equally poked back by the seashell. Fight very evenly matched as we see Jaeger beeline straight to the back line. A1 jumps in, taunted once again, but a Odin Cage is good enough to stall them out, but Jaeger did not lose that much life as we see a huge crushing wave absolutely delete 2 members. Auberg gets his double kill as we see a triple kill, and Among Us says no, now it's not the time for a quadra. We have to win this game as we see the priest pushing it down the right bird, and this should just be an end call. Deicide once again. The set closes out. Twice as nice. 2-0 for the priest going into week 2 actually of QSL.
Very unfortunate series of events for the chefs. Just perfectly stacked up for that Hebo ult straight to the skull, eating it, no Aegis. And right when they were able to react to it, they were already too low to do anything about it.
Yeah, just a very, very, like you said, unfortunate fight for them. Just a couple unlucky fights and a game that were in control of, in the driver's seat for a majority of that game, just kind of goes by the wayside. They did a really good job at stifling the early game presence that Anthony Albrecht had that previous game. But when it came to late game, they were just grouped up. They were 2 together, which is something I never thought I'd say after their game 1 performance. But overall, I think that if I'm the chefs, I'm pretty happy with that game over the first one. This one felt like they were a lot more in the driver's seat for a lot longer. Very good, very promising team going forward.
I think that the chefs shouldn't stress too much about that game two. Add more focus about that game one and figuring out what exactly happened, making sure that we don't do the same repeat mistakes, and essentially just play closer to the playstyle of game two. If I'm the priest, I'm happy game one, happy game two that we can play from behind. I'm just gonna rinse and repeat, just keep our playstyle, make sure that we just don't make some small mistakes that can possibly cost us the game.
Overall, for the entire set now, not just game 1 or game 2, who do you think was the MVP for this entire set?
For this entire set,
This entire set.
if I had to choose, I think it's probably gonna have to go for. I think Aubreg, because it was really close between Anthony and Aubreg game one. However, game two, he just kind of killed people without even doing anything effortlessly.
Not even trying, just effortlessly. Yeah, I'm gonna blink and just gonna triple kill there.
Get a triple kill casually, just being ice cold, ice in his veins.
Ice just took the words out of my mouth. Ice in his veins. For me
Prematurely ended
personally,
the fight.
that game 1 performance is still just sticking in my head too much. I still have to say Anthony had a really good game 2 as well. Was able to just play a lot more of a I'm gonna sit back, hit my button style, and was finding a lot of key combos. Something that you were pointing out last game that you wish you saw a lot more from Thick. I felt like watching Anthony on this E-Shell, he was able to find those combos more consistently. Now on this other side, I think Gaio and Kuzenbo had an amazing set. I think Gaio was at the mercy of his team game 1, unfortunately. Just kind of everything else was falling around him. He was finding his solo kills, but wasn't really able to translate that to the late game monster he was supposed to be. And game 2, I think that on this solo run, he had some fancy footwork. Okay, the
He
amount of
did.
times I would see him just juke in and out of abilities, he was
I didn't
doing.
know they put boots back in the game because he had juke shoes on.
Yeah, he had a whole lot of shoes. And I think Kuzumbo was a major reason why this dive was so successful, having his hand in so many kills, especially for the early game of game 2. From what we presume, we cut in and it's 5-1. I'm gonna say that he's gonna be impacting the map just a bit, but yeah, that is the set. Priest take that 2-0. I have been Charlie. That has been Narwhal. Any final thoughts before we head out?
Surely we got a priest division on the hands.
One more time, Narwhal.
Surely we got priest division on our hands again.
Surely, last time we heard that, it definitely worked out all too swimmingly
100%.
in the semi. Okay, look, they had a really good regular season, so I'm hoping that the current priests are able to emulate that same success. I have been Charlie. That has been Narwhal, Buck on production, and thank you guys so much for coming out. And I hope to see you tomorrow as we are going to be live on Smite Game. I will see you around.